Okay, now let's look at the first normal form. How many tables you see? You see two tables, right? The first table on the right, the top right, this is just, a video library database of movies rented out. I don't know how much of you know about it, but at least in 2000s, you had these DVD stores, correct? Where you could just go and rent out movies. I hope you remember them. If not, it's fine. I am just getting too old. But yeah, so you had these DVD rental stores. So that is this, let's say there is this DVD rental store and they're capturing some kind of information. Now here, what you see is the first design. Okay. All the information is stored in one table. For example, there is a full name, there is physical address, movies rented. So every time this person, Janet Jones, rents a movie, there is Pirates of the Caribbean, Clash of the Titans, right? Everything is stored in one single cell. Salutation is nothing but the Miss, Mrs. or Mr. category. Category is the movie category. So Pirates of the Caribbean is action, Clash of the Titans is action. Now, if you want to convert this table into the first normal form, there are certain rules that it needs to address or comply. What are the rules? First normal form rule. Each table cell should contain a single value. So what does that mean? That means each cell you see should contain only one single value. Here in the first table, this movies rented has Pirates of the Caribbean, Clash of the Titans, two values. So this is not in the first normal form. To make it in the first normal form, what I have done is I have two records. One record for Pirates of the Caribbean and another for Clash of the Titans. Okay. Second rule, each record needs to be unique, which means the combination of Janet Jones, First Street Plot number 4, Pirates of the Caribbean and Miss should not repeat. This whole record should not repeat again. Now, if you have a table like this, that means this table is in the first normal form. So if the table complies with these two rules, the rules are each table cell should contain a single value and each record needs to be unique, then you can say that this table is in the first normal form. Now, before we go to the second normal form, some key things that we have to understand and know, right? Because these are the terms that I will use when explaining second normal form, third normal form. First is primary key. A primary key is a single column value used to identify a database record uniquely. It has the following attributes. It cannot be null. The primary key value must be unique. The primary key value should rarely be changed. The primary key must be given a value when a new record is inserted. Now here in this example, there is no primary key, right? Because it says a primary key is a single column value used to identify a database record. Is there any single value column that I can say, this single value, right? This single value, is representative of the row? No, right? Here, there is nothing which will tell me that, hey, if I say Janet Jones, it means I'm talking about row number 1. No, right? Because Janet Jones also is in row number 2. If I talk about, let's say, First Street Plot number 4, it's not talking about the first row. If I say Pirates of the Caribbean, in this example, yes, it is just in one row. But let's say Robert Phil has also ordered Pirates of the Caribbean. Then it will come here as well, right? So there is not a single cell value which is identifying the row uniquely. Correct? So in our case, let's go back to this example. In fact, if we had this order ID as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Let's say this is the order ID. Now I can say that, hey, order ID 1. Okay, order ID 1, I'm talking specifically about this record. You can easily identify it. If I say order ID 8, I'm talking about this record. So there is a unique cell value which identifies a record, right? There's a single cell value, correct? So this becomes my primary key in this table. Okay. If I have just one cell value identifying a record, it will become my primary key. Some rules of primary key is it cannot be null. This is again data engineering. Let's say you're doing data entry and you've defined something to be the primary key, you cannot keep it as a null value. You have to store information in it. Of course, it must be unique, because just imagine if there's already order ID 1 and again I have order ID 1 here, right? Then this does not become the primary key, right? Because if I say order ID 1, you'll be like, are you talking about row 1 or row 2? Correct? So it has to be unique and it should rarely be changed. Again, this is just best practice, and the primary key must be given a value when a new record is inserted. Okay. Now that is primary key. What is composite key? Okay. Now composite key is also kind of a primary key. Okay, it's also called a primary key, composed of multiple columns used to identify a record uniquely, right? So let's go back to our Excel example. Suppose this one was order ID 1 itself, and let's say this is A, this is B, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, A. Okay. Now I've slightly changed it. I have added a new column called order item ID. Now here, what happens is, if I have to identify a record uniquely, it's a combination of these two, which is order ID and order item ID. If I say, hey, I want the information for order ID and order item ID, you can say that, okay, when he says 1A, it uniquely refers to this row. 1B refers to this row. So I need more than one column value to identify a record uniquely. So this combination of two columns becomes your composite key, which is also primary key, because with this combination you're able to explain this record, right? You're able to identify this record. That is a composite key. Okay, so there's a primary key when there is just one column value, you're able to identify a unique record. If there is more than one, then it is called as a composite key.